Ellen made the bold transition from Wall Street analyst to real estate entrepreneur, a licensed real estate salesperson at Compass who's redefining what it makes to find your sanctuary in New York City.
Brought to you by Life.at, the one place I enjoy going to every day to get organized and focused.
I'm Beth C. Hoffman, and today we're diving deep into the entrepreneur journey with Ellen Silverman.
Welcome to our show, Ellen, and let's dive right in.
Well, I am a licensed residential real estate agent in New York City, in Manhattan. I work for Compass. I've been in real estate 9 years, and I've been with Compass 6 years, and I help buyers and sellers navigate the crazy New York City real estate market. I work with buyers, sellers, and investors here in New York, around the country, and around the world.
So take us back to that moment when you decided to leave your Wall Street career behind.
Sure. I had been an analyst on Wall Street for a very long time, and it was great and fun and interesting and challenging and engaging for a very long time until it wasn't. And I think after the market crash in 2008 and 2009, my work was highly scrutinized, highly regulated. It went from very, very exciting to very boring, and I wasn't enjoying it as much with all the scrutiny and the regulations that the banking industry had to adhere to. I'm not saying it was wrong. Obviously, the banking industry needed a lot of scrutiny and regulation, but it just wasn't as exciting. And also, I was just getting older, and it was sort of time for me to go. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean it in the sense that I'd kind of seen it all and done it all, and I really felt like it was just time to close that chapter. But during my Wall Street years, I had bought and sold my own apartment a number of times, investing small and then trading up and trading up. And so I really knew the real estate business as a consumer, not as an agent. So I really enjoyed buying and selling real estate for myself. And I am a native New Yorker, so I really knew the city and I really understood where to invest. So that made me really appreciate real estate and be very interested in real estate, which is why I chose it as a second career. Like, I understood New York City real estate, and I understood what I went through as a buyer and as a seller of real estate. So that was really excellent knowledge for me to have. Now that I'm an agent, I kind of understand what buyers and sellers are going through. And I also understand New York. If I was doing real estate in another market, I would really be lost. Okay. But having that firm knowledge of the city has helped me tremendously.
I've noticed in many of the people that I speak to, when it comes to making a choice about what niche or really what direction they're going to be going, they feel pulled in different directions and different corners, because any one particular trade or niche or industry has so many different avenues in which they can go into. So what would be your recommendation for that kind of situation where somebody just feels paralyzed by overanalyzing? What would you say to that person?
Yeah, I mean, everybody goes through that. I don't care who you are. Yeah. I think that if you have a pull or a passion to pursue another type of work, or you have other interests, absolutely, I would pursue that. But you also need money. You know, we have to be practical. You need money to pay the bills. So I would say to anyone, try to have 3 to 6 to 9 months of money saved in the bank to pay your bills while you pursue a new business, or maybe pursue the business part-time while you have your full-time job, or maybe scale back on your full-time job to pursue the other business on a more part-time level. I mean, there are many ways of doing it. I went head first, but I also had savings in the bank to fall back on. I
Right.
was also a lot older. But I think that we're in an age now with technology and working from home, and small businesses are really thriving now, that there's a lot of factors in place that will help someone start a business more easily now than it was 10 or 20 years ago.
It does seem that small businesses are on the rise because people are starting to see the way to go is to work for yourself rather than to work for someone else, where that uncertainty about what's going to happen next is always at the horizon when you're punching a time card for someone else.
So the question about when you're ready comes up a lot.
To now make this my own. I've been in this field. I understand it. I can talk about it. I can teach it. Let's find pain points that people that are in this circle would have and see if we can monetize it in some way. When I've spoken to other individuals, I find that they love the subject that they're talking about. They enjoy it so much that they want to do a little bit of everything. Instead of saying, hey, this is where I was, this is where I would have needed help. Maybe this is something that I can monetize because I experienced it. I understand the pain point. This is obviously something that's not unique to just me. Others might have this issue. Do you feel like that might have been something that helped you figure out where you were going to go with this? Understanding the pain points?
I was a buyer and a seller of real estate myself, so I did understand the pain points in the process of buying and selling real estate. Every deal, there are always new things that come up, new pain points. But my role is of a problem solver. I think that the people don't understand New York City and how it's different as far as real estate goes, and my job is to educate them. So that's really what I do, educating them on the process and why it's different from the rest of the country.
Just interrupting just one moment to let you know it is free to help out. Just hit the subscribe button.
Corporate life and working for a company isn't always as stable as you think it is. You're always watching your back, and you're always worried about getting fired. There's a lot of volatility on Wall Street. And I think, in some ways, it was very, very challenging. And in some ways, my job now is a lot easier. I don't have to deal with politics. I don't have to deal with managers that aren't supportive, that I don't like. And it was very hard being a woman on Wall Street. I was certainly in the minority all the time, every job I had. So yes, it was a stable paycheck, but it was very, very stressful. But what made me decide to leave it was that I was always interested in real estate, and I saw the opportunity, and I knew that I had good financial skills, and I really understood New York City. So I had that as advantages. I also really enjoy, I'm very passionate about interior design and architecture and how things are laid out and built and structured, and I love beautiful finishes. So all that adds to my enthusiasm about real estate. I think the world we're living in general is not as stable as it was. For instance, when my parents were growing up, my mother had 2 jobs her entire life. My aunt worked for 2 companies her entire life. There was more of a sense of corporate loyalty a long time ago. I don't think that exists as much anymore. So I don't think it's as difficult to leave a stable job.
So that leap wasn't as difficult for you. You saw the writing on the wall.
Well, one, I wasn't enjoying it, and 2, I didn't really feel very supported in my role, and also just the banking industry was going through so much change as well. It just wasn't a fit anymore. It was time to go.
New York City real estate is notoriously competitive and expensive, and you serve people, to my knowledge, from local renters, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, to international investors, like from Spain, Portugal. How did you strategically scale from serving local clients to building an international client base? We have Street Easy here in New York City. It's like our MLS, and
majority of my business comes from leads from StreetEasy, and I buy specific zip codes in Manhattan. The zip codes that I buy in are extremely diversified. So they have renters, they have lower price points for studio apartments or one bedrooms, and these zip codes are on Billionaires Row, and I can deal with apartments that are $30 million in value for a price point. So that is the way that I have attracted clients, is through a specific zip code, not so much in targeting first-time home buyers or international investors. I think that these clients just came to me through the zip codes that I was purchasing. Also, I will add that New York City attracts an extremely diverse clientele,
Right.
from first-time renters all the way up to international investors. It's more from the specific parts of the city that I specialize in. I specialize in Midtown West and Upper West Side, so I'm more acquainted with the inventory, what's selling, what's in contract, what isn't selling. I'm more familiar with the price points of various apartments in those areas of the city. Compass has an enormous amount of tools and technology that help us with lead generation as well. I also have, over the years, my own database of friends and family, sphere of influence, and they're on my newsletter, and they hear from me once a month at least.
Oh, so you have a newsletter. That's wonderful.
Yes.
That's good. I do see, because I come from a world of grassroots marketing. That's something that was embedded into me back when I was training managers in sales tactics and, copyright techniques and strategies. So the world is changing. Everything that used to be isn't anymore. A lot of the world is digital, and a lot of our audience, their attention is in the quick fix, in the quick answers. So I can see how having your own newsletter, having that database that people can depend on, makes it so that you don't have to depend on other platforms. You can depend on your own. You're creating your own platform.
Whenever there's market news, I put it on Instagram, I put it in my newsletter. If there are interesting new developments coming up in New York City, I definitely will send an email on those new developments. Yeah.
You're situating yourself as an authority figure in the matter, so
Yes.
that they can depend on your input.
As ex-Wall Streeter with good financial skills, a native New Yorker with a good eye for design, that's sort of my three selling points. But really, it's my passion about something that drives me to put it in a newsletter or put it in social media or talk about it in a video or in a reel. A development in New York City, or if I see an apartment in New York City that I feel is a very good investment, or I feel is very beautiful, or is in a great location that's going to appreciate, that's something that I'll talk about. And that's really just based on my own innate knowledge of New York and really my passion and what my sixth sense is telling me.
No one's a fan of an overwhelmed work week or an overwhelmed inbox, so I bring to you Simple Sundays, meaningful and informative, a simple newsletter where the latest on workflow automations, inside tricks of maximizing company productivity, and the first peek on new automation scenarios. My authentic and informative content in your inbox just once a week, no fluff, just new ways to optimize, innovate, and monetize simply. So click in the description below and see me each week in the Simple newsletter.
I noticed that you mentioned that the individuals that you see a lot come your way are these students or these younger generations that are being placed by their parents or their loved ones. Their hands are being held more or less. Do you try to connect more to the younger generation, or do you try to perceive yourself as the authority of information for those parents that are looking for the right location for their kids, that are trying to understand better where their family's going to be living? Where do you position yourself more?
Yeah, I tend to attract a very young audience, which I find so funny. I tend to get along very well with younger people. But I also think younger people these days are extremely smart, and they're on top of everything. So The parents actually are less concerned about the numbers and more concerned about safety. Is this a good building? Is this a good investment? Will my child be safe? They're concerned about the finances. What are the costs? What are the closing costs? How much do I have to put down? So I think that everybody's very nervous, and I play more of a role of educator and maybe therapist or something like that. I don't know what it is.
Right.
And and I'll say, listen, I know this neighborhood. I've seen it appreciate. And, this is New York City. Don't be scared. By 2 blocks down, there's a crazy person screaming and yelling. I can't control the city. But I think there is a lot of fear as well. Yeah.
Well, the world has been changing for some time, and standards are changing as well. And so we need to become flexible and, keep our ear to the ground, right? To understand what is coming our way and how to use that information to benefit our audience. From what you're telling me, you do that very well. And it's understanding where your people are, what they're feeling, how they would perceive the information you're giving them. Is it going to benefit them? You're looking at what they need and providing them resources, or giving them feedback on what's happening around them.
Yeah, every newsletter has a summary, very quick and dry summary of what's going on in the market over the last month. Just a quick synopsis, because people's attention spans these days are short, and I don't like to throw in a lot of numbers. So it's just the basics. And then I'll talk about 2 or 3 things that are happening in New York City regarding real estate that are important. Might also throw in something fun that's going on in the city. And I might talk about some great celebrity sale or purchase by someone famous, because that's always interesting to talk about.
Right.
So I try to make it fun. And then I'll show listings. Either I'll just create a collection of here's what $1 million can buy in the West Village, or here's what Upper West Side 3-bedroom condos are going for. I'll pick a category of apartments that are similar and show what the features are and what they look like.
How do you monetize certain aspects of your business? Do you stick to monetizing and finding the profit within the sale of, say, like, the property or the renting and the transaction itself, or did you expand out and did you monetize in other aspects as well?
No, I mean, I get paid when the deal closes. Either a buyer closes on their purchase, or a seller sells their apartment, or a renter leases an apartment, or a landlord hires me to sell his or her apartment and I rent it. And those, I get paid at the closing. So that's how I get paid. Everything I do up until that point is I'm not getting paid. That's real estate. We work on commission.
That's probably where some people might differ from you, because their business might be more service nature instead of a product. And they see, say, for example, the newsletter, where they can kind of collaborate with the designer and give people an update of the most recent designs that they've accomplished, to kind of motivate or give their newsletter subscribers an idea of what could happen with a beautiful space. Mm-hmm. And if they were to contact this designer, they can do so through you, or you can get a commission, almost like an affiliate-like situation. So newsletters, I find to be very important when you're trying to expand your reach and you're trying to sustain, right, an audience. What is, right, the tangible, actionable strategy that our listeners can implement immediately if they were in a situation like you were in the beginning? What can they do?
Well, I would do a lot of research in that product or service that you're interested in working in, and see where you can provide value, see where the pain points are, see where you can solve a problem for people. I would probably have a lot of savings in the bank before I ventured out and quit my job. I would definitely have a business plan in place and some processes in place to build momentum and get your business off the ground.
You're in real estate, so everything that you can connect to will be in that industry. And I know that a lot of things can be genuinely flexible But in its core, what I hear is mindset and foresight. Because if you're going to make that transition, you need to do so understanding your budget, understanding where you will be in a year, and do you have what you need in case things go south.
Yes, there are things that I have put in place that continue no matter what the market is doing.
The things that you had to monetarily consider when you were making that shift, like what did you have to consider? I need to be able to afford this before I make this transition.
Well, I had to obviously cover all my bills and my overhead in New York City. And I did had to invest. I mean, even when you join a real estate company, there are fees that you have to pay to be part of that company. And there are fees you pay that are part of the New York City real estate community that you have to pay. And I pay for leads, and I have a website, and I pay for hosting fees. So there's a great deal of fees that go on, and there's a lot of money that goes out every month. And there's some months where all the bills are getting paid perfectly, and then there are months where they're not. And I just do what I can. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's one of those things you figure, this is what I need to consume on a monthly basis, and this is what it takes to be able to function so that I can have that income, right? That money flowing back into the bank account. So of course, like you said, like there's subscriptions, right? There's certain tools that you need. And in many cases, licensing. I think a lot of people that are in these kind of industries, they need to be up to date with certain licensings. Am I right?
Well, absolutely. Yes. Every 2 years, I have to take a certain number of hours of courses to upgrade my license. I have to pay industry fees. Compass has a very expensive resource fee that we paid for technology. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fees involved. I think there's more fees than people realize. Yeah.
What do you use to keep all of those numbers in place? Like a Google Sheet or some sort of Notion pad? What is it that your infrastructure, your productivity looks like? A lot of people get mixed up with all the tools and the gadgets. And sometimes keeping it simple works, or sometimes keeping it more involved works. What does that look like, keeping all of your numbers straight?
I use Excel. I have Excel spreadsheets that keeps track of my costs and my savings and my income. And that's what I use. I do keep it simple.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I have so many different Airtables, which is like Excel on steroids, for example. And many times when I sit with a client or when I'm coaching, I see that people have all these gadgets, this one does this one sends me an email, this one gives me an alert, and they have to spend more time maintaining all of these things rather than just going to one place and keeping it simple, as you said.
I will say that branding, it's very hard to understand the return on investment in branding. I see branding as a very long-term investment that just has to keep going. Branding being the videos, the social media, the newsletter, the podcasting.
Right.
I just see it as a long-term investment in myself so that no matter where I work, people know me, Ellen Silverman. And it's an ongoing expense with not a lot of return on investment, certainly in the beginning. It's part of doing business. I mean, when I do my taxes at the end of the year, I'll write everything off.
Right. And many people don't realize a lot of the things that we do to try, say, promote our business or to find a footing in the industry, you can write it off as a tax expense. I do see that in the industry of real estate, it fluctuates. Like you mentioned, sometimes you're doing great, and then sometimes you need to kind of like dig into those savings and kind of reevaluate certain things, right? Does it feel like that happens more often? Or is it becoming less often for you?
Well, it is becoming less often, but it always happens. I mean, right now it's very slow and very quiet, and it can be very disconcerting. But I just try to stay very focused and keep up my branding and my networking and my newsletter. I go out and I look at new developments in the rental market, in the condo market, and that keeps my interest extremely high. I always find that very exciting. And I like to talk about it. So that's what I do when I'm not busy. And usually in the fall, things pick up again. It always does. Mm-hmm. And I think also right now we're New York City's going through, we're going to be going through an election for a new mayor, and that's creating a lot of uncertainty.
Listening to you, I see that you have a very good grasp of like the trends that are happening, right? The season, you understand that fall's coming. So understanding your industry and its seasons and its trends should shift your attention and your goals and your planning. Do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's important to take breaks. It's important to take a vacation, to have a balanced life. I mean, absolutely. And yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Seeing that real estate industries evolve with technology, because automation, AI is such a big thing right now, and changing buyer behaviors and market shifts. As an entrepreneur in this space, what trends, right now that we're talking about trends a little bit here, are you preparing for? How are you positioning your business to stay ahead of this industry changes, especially with AI and everything else that's happening right now with technology?
And Compass uses AI in a lot of the tools. If I have to write something, I'll use AI as an assistant to help me write. Or if I'm doing research, or if I'm trying to interpret data, I could plug a spreadsheet into AI and get their interpretation, and then use that and embellish it and put my spin on it. Certainly that has been very helpful. I don't think AI can replace a real estate agent. This is an emotional business. You definitely have to have someone guide you and show you apartments and explain, all the features of an apartment, explain how a building works, explain the finances. I don't think that's something an AI robot or
Right.
ChatGPT can provide. It's still a relationship business. So
Right.
I'm not really concerned about AI at all. I mean, I use it as a tool to help me, but it's not going to replace me.
It's perfectly understandable that the human factor is really where the magic is in your industry, tapping into the human aspect that feels, right? That feels the question coming, feels the concerns, understands where the root of those concerns are from, so that you can tap into that when you're having that conversation about the property or that a piece of real estate. I don't see an AI being able to tap into that human factor.
Yeah, and plus all the resources I work with, lawyers, lenders, architects, designers, these are real people with real solutions, and there are relationships, and there's communication back and forth.
Right.
They're problem solvers. We're all trying to solve problems to create a deal and make it close. And furthermore, a client needs to physically go into every apartment they are interested in buying. So the emotional aspects of that can't be replaced.
Of course. It's a matter of them feeling your concern for them feeling that you're interested in their well-being, and having that exchange, right, of human experiences, so they can see that you come from a place of knowledge. So that more or less, especially in your industry and in many others, you're positioning yourself more than you are, say, the property or the real estate or the potential asset. You're positioning yourself as something, hey, I understand you. I see you. I can see that you're coming from this place. This is what I have, and this is why I have it for you. If you position yourself as the person who's more concerned about their well-being, about what they're concerned for, you're not going anywhere. AI can't replace that kind of behavior.
No, absolutely not. Or my innate knowledge of the city. 100%. Or my knowledge of landlords, which ones are good, which ones are bad. And certainly the mindset of the seller. So
how did you maintain that work-life balance while building a thriving business? What boundaries have you had to set for yourself?
Yeah, well, the good thing about dealing with clients in Europe and in Asia is that they're ahead of New York City time. So if I get up really early, I can call them, and it's great. And, you can get a lot done early in the morning. I don't get a lot of late night calls. Usually after 8 or 9, my phone isn't ringing unless I'm really in the middle of a very important deal. Weekends, I do have to show apartments, usually one day of the weekend, but it's not all day. So I find I do have time on the weekends for myself. There are periods where it's very, very busy, and you just have to be very, very busy for
Right.
2 or 3 or 4 weeks, and then it's over, and then you can kind of go back to normal. So I find that, there are busy periods and then there are slow periods. Right now I'm very, very slow, and I'm able to take a vacation and have my weekends, and it's okay.
And recharge. Absolutely. You're in a situation now that you have that ability to say, this is coming. Like, this is in the horizon. I understand what's coming next. A lot of our audience members don't have that experience yet. They're more afraid of what's coming than where they came from. So what would you say to that person?
Understand your industry and the ebbs and flows of that. Understand the costs involved. Understand, what level of profit do you need? Do you want? And then work backwards. If I want $10,000 a month, what do I have to do to attain that? And then work backwards. Whatever that means. I don't know what that would mean, but maybe it means, this many phone calls, or this many emails, or this many product launches, or this many networking events.
Do you do a lot of cold calling or more, warm calls for your industry?
Yeah, I don't like doing cold calling at all. I definitely do warm calls. Yeah, I don't like it because I think we're bombarded with a lot of spam these days, and people don't like the phone as it is. So I try to keep the calls to warm or hot leads, definitely.
What are you doing to kind of position yourself and brand yourself out there?
Yeah, I've been doing podcasting. I did work with a video coach to get me doing more videos on Instagram, more reels, because that's really what people are watching these days. So I invested in that, and now I'm trying to do 1 reel a week. I am trying to do more articles. I hired a PR coach, and she's been getting me written articles that I write or they write about me. So, and then my newsletter. So that's pretty much what I've been doing. Yeah.
And how long have you been doing this technique, this strategy of yours? How long?
This year, 2025, I started the podcasting, the videos, and the PR, all 3.
Have you seen any change in that? Have you seen an increase, or are you more comfortable with the workflow that you're doing?
I have seen an increase. I don't know if it's attributable to all the branding that I'm doing, but I have seen an increase in the number of deals I'm doing and in my profits. And I think that everything is on my website. And so when people go to my website, they see that I'm doing more public speaking, I'm doing podcasting, I'm featured in publications all over the world. So it gives me more credibility.
Now, thank you for coming along to our show and spending some time answering these questions. So before we wrap up, Ellen, you have an incredible free gift for our audience. Go ahead and let us know what that is.
Oh, absolutely. I'm happy to give a free consultation and my buyer's guide to anyone interested in venturing into the New York City market, even as a seller or a buyer or as a renter. I have specific guides that I can email anyone interested, or if anyone just wants to have a conversation about anything real estate related, I'm happy to answer any questions. And you can find me on Instagram at Ellen J. Silverman or on compass.com, and just look me up under Agents Ellen Silverman.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ellen. And I appreciate you coming. Everything's going to be in the description. We'll have Ellen's links readily available for you in our website at www.bethchoffman.com/spotlight or podcast. Either one of them. And you can find us on YouTube as well. And make sure that you're not just succeeding, but you're thriving.